"25 states are at risk of serious flooding this spring," U.S. forecast says. Slideshow by Photo Services. Want climate news in your inbox? Our email newsletter. Vast areas of the United States are at risk of flooding this spring, even as Nebraska and other Midwestern states are already reeling from record-breaking late winter floods, federal scientists said on Thursday. Nearly two-thirds of the lower 48 states will have an elevated risk of some flooding from now until May, and 25 states could experience major or moderate flooding, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The flooding this year could be worse than anything we've seen in recent years, even worse than the historic floods of 1993 and 2011, said Mary C. Erickson, Deputy Director of the National Weather Service, in a conference call with reporters. The major flooding that some 13 million people could be exposed to major flooding, making this a potentially unprecedented flood season, said Edward Clark, Director of NOAA's National Water Center. And much of the United States east of the Mississippi River, as well as parts of California and Nevada. In total, areas home to more than 200 million people. You could see at least some flooding in the spring, the scientists said. The projections were part of NOAA's annual, though the language of the 2019 report carried greater urgency than usual. That is not surprising. We've set over 30 records in Nebraska, Iowa, and South Dakota in the last week alone, said Kevin Lowe, a scientist with the National Weather Service's Missouri River Basin Forecast Center. That flooding has above-average rainfall that scientists expect for the spring, along with melting snow, would add to the flooding and extend it through the central and southern United States. NOAA identified. The agency's scientists also predicted that the chemical runoff from the rains would cause above-average hypoxia conditions, dead zones of water with low oxygen caused by nutrient pollution that can kill fish and other marine life in the Gulf of Mexico and Chesapeake Bay. More rainfall in the Midwest is a predictable consequence of climate change, which was by 13 federal agencies. A warmer atmosphere, the current flooding in the Missouri River Basin and beyond, but has been further complicated by other factors, like frozen ground that kept water from being absorbed. Andrew Dessler, a professor of atmospheric sciences at Texas A&M University, said that understanding the role of climate change in weather events like the Nebraska floods required applying the tools of a growing field known as attribution science. Without doing the however, he added, heavier rainfall events are among the most common conditions associated with climate change. Humans have loaded. The real question isn't, is climate change playing a role? Dr. Dessler said, the National Weather Service describes moderate flooding as involving some inundation of structures and roads near streams, with some evacuations. Major flooding by comparing this year's potential flooding to the seasons of 1993 and 2011, Ms. Erickson was citing some of the worst weather disasters the United States has faced since the Great Mississippi Flood of 1927. The 1993 flood in the Midwest. A reporter for in the 2011 floods, the Army Corps of Engineers took the extraordinary measure to let water flow into the Birds Point floodway in Missouri, saving the little Illinois town of Cairo but inundating more than 100,000 acres of farmland and homes. For more news on climate and the environment, search for location/city.
Raindrop, truck top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.